Yes. Hold on. I think things are looking good. Health is good. We're getting the stream status. It says good.
Well, that's what you want. Good's better than bad.
It says we've been live for 8 seconds, but I'm not seeing anything on the preview thing, so I'm not gonna jinx anything. Slate in. Let's go.
Probably not.
They're probably not entertained.
But we're not actually live right now, though, right?
Let's act as if we
Okay.
are.
All right, sure.
Because
Yeah.
I'm still
I'm in it.
waiting
I'm in it.
on.
John Rock commented on our Patreon
Was it-
post. Oh, never mind. I thought it was on our thing.
On the post?
Oh, he says he hears us.
No.
That's what
really?
he says. I hear you.
Huh. Well, hold on. I'm gonna reload this. It says stream. We've been streaming. Let me check the preview.
I'm glad someone's hearing us.
As long as something is happening, I'm just happy that something is. It says zero is watching, which is why I'm confused by that. Not the time, Rochelle. Is anyone paying you to say that right now? No. Would they be saying that?
It's okay. We got it.
We're good. It says It says sync to preview player. That says that's, but broadcast alert none. Slate in. Insert start date. Start end. I just get the little spinning wheel.
Three, really?
3 sneezes in a row.
Two would have been enough.
There's a funny. I felt like I saw a funny video about like a certain amount of everyone's fine with
Does it have
sneezes
anything to do
until a
with the
certain
Ethernet
number.
cable down there?
No, it
No?
shouldn't. It shouldn't unless Jesse's streaming something, which is likely.
No, he knows better.
Does he?
Yeah,
Can you go
he
double
just went
check?
upstairs.
That means nothing.
He's not doing it, man.
Yeah, but I'm not. I need to get confirmation that multiple people can hear me, and I'm not getting that. So I need to make sure. Yeah. I can send you the. Hold on. It's unlisted stream.
Oh yeah, we have test subjects right here.
We can test. We can make sure it works. I'm gonna send it to.
What else are they good for?
Nothing as far as I'm concerned.
Just sneezing and making random giggles.
I'm gonna send to Rochelle and Eli. That's the stream link. Let me know if you hear anything. It'd be great. That'd be lovely. It could be just.
You're gonna
his nightmares. His nightmares
gonna
becoming
listen
real.
while he's listening.
I know.
That's crazy. You can hear everything we're saying. All right.
So Marco
'kay.
Marco says we're good. So I'm just gonna go back to our live page, I'm
Let's
gonna
just
follow the
pretend
live
that we're
chat.
good.
and I'm just gonna assume everything is good.
Make sure it's recording as well. But yeah, let's go.
We're good.
Okay, put your phones away, you two. It's enough. You can hear. You're right here.
All right. Yeah. Actually, that doesn't. Yeah. Please don't do that. You can actually hear us live.
Okay, here we go.
Just 1 second and make sure I'm just gonna get audition. Make sure it's up and running properly. Should take about 2 seconds. Yeah, we're about 10 minutes behind this, but you gotta give us some slack. It's our first time doing this live, kind of in this setting. No, because this is a whole new experience for us.
Let's just
Okay. Okay, you got to put that phone away, Rochelle.
It's not my phone. It's Eli.
Yeah, so for those of you who are listening now, we have a live studio audience today.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Two of our close friends were watching the show with us and have decided to sit in for the podcast.
Yeah, we've had some technical difficulties across the board, really, and I'm actually I'm really upset with Crave.
Yeah, that was a whole other thing.
Should I write them a sternly written email?
No, let's just make sure it works next time. We missed a couple pieces of the
So
opening sequence.
I think when we did plug it in, I think that did make a difference. It did catch up, but it just is unacceptable in my mind.
For the first maybe 8 to 10 minutes, it was really choppy. And
we don't even get more than 720p.
Yeah.
So that's bullshit too. You can't stream. There's no PlayStation app. The fuck are they doing over there? Also, sorry, they're swearing a lot on this. Just so you know. All right. So in a mono, analog 1, analog 2, record, back up.
There is a chat function, right?
Yep, there
Jason's
is.
asking
There
to
is
show
a
you.
there is a chat. It's in the YouTube page.
Okay.
It's on the YouTube streaming side, and I can see it here, and I'm gonna make sure to follow it. So if anyone wants to chat, join us at the YouTube live link. That's where you're gonna find it. If they can't be hearing this if they're not already there, so
Right.
it's literally impossible. Just look to your right. It should be on the right hand side of your screen.
Okay.
So Marcos is asking, can we do Hulu Live? And he said it worked perfectly for you. You know what, Marcos? I'm glad it did. I'm really happy for you. And no, because in Canada, here's another fun thing. So Star Wars and all that stuff is happening right now. Star Wars, what's it called? Celebrations. There's the Mandalorian, all that fun stuff that they're talking about. That's all going to be coming to Disney Plus. Disney Plus does not have a date for its launch in Canada yet. We don't know. Mandalorian premieres in November. For all we know, Disney Plus will not have premiered until next year sometime. Who knows when?
Right.
It shouldn't be this difficult.
Whatever.
Anyway, I'm glad that we have people here. I'm glad that people can hear us, even if my preview screen is not working. I'm glad that we know because people are responding.
We're
we
live.
Know that
Let's start talking about the episode.
Yeah, I'm really happy. So I guess let's just start off by saying, hey, hello, welcome to everyone who's listening live now and who will be listening live later. These are our patrons. You are the people who have paid us to be here and have helped support the show. So again, big thank you to everyone.
Thank you.
It's a really exciting time for.
It's good to be back.
Well, it's on lots of those. So yeah, Game of Thrones is huge. It's exciting. We're doing a big move. We're going to be getting a studio right away. So hopefully we'll be able to do some video stuff for you guys soon. So that's exciting too. Avengers is in like a week and a half. It's literally nonstop. It's all my favorite things are coming to an end, and it's really quite sad, actually.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of things up in the air right now.
Yeah.
No, it's like, if anything, it's an exciting time.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's exciting.
Yeah.
But we're here to talk about the Season 8, Episode 1 premiere episode, which, as far as we understand, is called Winterfell, which makes sense, I think. They really slacked off on the title or the episode titles after a couple seasons.
I mean, it's a little on the nose. I mean, the majority of the episode takes place in Winterfell, and then
what
more do you need?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a guess.
It's accurate.
Sure. There was some quote unquote leaks of episode titles before the season premiered. People were suspecting that that episode 3 would be called Winterfell. I think that would have made more sense, actually. But who knows what that'll actually be called?
Winter Falls. Because the army of the dead will fall.
Winter Falls, Daniel.
Yeah.
There was winter waterfalls in this episode.
There were.
Okay, so let's talk about our reactions to it. Again, we're going to be doing a full breakdown recording tomorrow. That'll be going live to everyone, not just the patrons, but everyone, like we normally do. So look for that. That'll be much more in depth in terms of scene by scene, all that. So what we're going to do here is just broad strokes, our immediate reactions following the episode. So, Dan, start with you. How do you feel coming out of it? How did you feel coming into it? And
You know
all
what?
that stuff.
I felt very apprehensive coming into it. It's just
You were literally punching things before we started.
I was kind of like pacing and like hitting walls and stuff, not out of anger, just like out of I like feel jittery.
Anxiety.
Yeah, not whatever. I wasn't necessarily anxious, but just there's a lot riding on this season. There's a lot of unanswered questions, and only 6 episodes to get them answered within. Apprehensive is the best way to put it. We know that the first episode is always typically just catching up, a bit of a slower episode as we build towards the action later on in the season, and that was the case this time as well. Still gratifying to see all these, particularly the reunions and stuff like that.
That's it. That's all you got to say.
That's it. Yeah, I said a lot just now.
No, I was watching the chat, so I wasn't making sure I wasn't missing anything. Yeah, I mean, for me, it was weird. It's like one of those things. It's like where you're coming into it and you're looking forward to. You're excited for days and days and weeks, and everyone's talking. You get these little bits. We got the trailer. You get super excited, and then the day of, there's this kind of this malaise that kind of comes over me where I'm not feeling that same amount of excitement,
right.
But I think it's like a self-defense mechanism, so I don't really get myself too amped up.
Yeah, because you've been hurt before.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't want to get hurt again. So I'm just kind of, I come into it, and then right before we started recording, our live audience can attest, I was freaking the fuck out because I couldn't get it up on my TV. We have an old TV, and I plugged it into my computer, and it just didn't recognize it. So we're streaming. The streaming is kind of in and out. I'm like, that can't happen. First of all, second of all, it's not going up on the TV, but at least we have audio. We put it we had it very loud, so that was exciting.
Crisp audio.
But I was freaking out. I was freaking out before we started recording this too, for the record.
Yeah, just a whole series of first world problems together.
But what I'm saying is, that was when the emotions hit me, and then as the episode came through, there's a lot of moments where is this happening right now? Am I what am I actually? What am I seeing? I'm trying to parse everything, and I think I'll definitely need to rewatch it to really get really have the emotional impact that I think the episode's going for. There's some couple of those moments that didn't quite land as well as I think that they actually did in the show. They didn't impact me in the same way that I wanted them to. So, I think all things said and done, this first episode, I think is pretty good for a season premiere.
Yeah, it's good, and it's all about establishing where everybody is, where they're headed. I think it gets the tone right. For the relationship between specifically Sansa and Daenerys jumps out at me as being a contentious relationship off the bat.
But I disagree. The relationship seems their relationship between the two of them is completely fine. It's everything around them. Everyone else is talking about that relationship, but when it's just the two of them, everything's great.
When just Sansa and Daenerys?
No, so you said Sansa and Daenerys. I thought you said Jon and Daenerys. Yeah. Okay. No. Yeah, you're right. That Sansa and I don't like the Sansa Daenerys kind of because it's so obvious to me. It's such an easy thing to play, and I understand. I get it from a story perspective. I do.
Yeah, it makes sense. It has to be there. You can't have a story where Sansa just automatically bends the knee and accepts Daenerys as her queen.
So the problem, and I agree with you in that, but problem I have is it smells too much like the Arya Sansa bickering that we got from last season,
right.
Which I think we all can agree did not pan out in the way it panned out at the very end, but was not executed well throughout the season. It felt really forced. And I just hope that this doesn't come off feeling that same way. And it feels like that now. I'm hoping it kind of evens out over time. There's a lot of talk in this episode about people the Northerners needing to earn respect. Your respect needs to be earned, right? Tyrion, for whatever reason, for the last couple seasons, he seems to he needs to be told something a couple times before he really kind of figures it out. I think he kind of figures that out at the end of this episode, as being the Hand, how to make that work. And it cuts away in a weird way in this episode. There's they're having a conversation that just cuts away from it. We don't know how that finally ends, but I think it'll be okay. It'll work. I'm still at this point apprehensive. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking broad strokes here, but they are definitely planting the seeds for the North to rebel against Daenerys. Not necessarily overtly rebel, but they won't trust her as their leader. The major one that sticks out to me is when she admits that she executed Samwell's father and brother. That's an example of her going out of her way to be a cruel sort
Does
of
anyone know
conqueror
that
style.
other
Well,
than
Sam does. He tells John, and then he couples that with the news about John's parentage. So it's about how is John going to react to that.
I mean, okay, so jumping back to the part where I jumped the gun and didn't understand what you were saying, the relationship between John and Daenerys at this point is fine.
Yeah, at this point. But also, John just got that
There's
news.
a big there's a big weight there. I was waiting for a moment in this episode where he's going to say no one can know, right? You tell me this, and it was obviously like a very shocking moment for him. I don't think that moment in terms of John learning it landed as well as they think they wanted it to. I think it feels a bit hollow only because we think we've known for so long. But I think at the end of the day that's where it's going to lead to, is that he might tell her and they might agree that no one can know that.
Do you think John would do that though? He's not the type to keep secrets. He's
no,
his father's
he'll
son.
tell her.
No, but he wouldn't keep that secret from the North, I don't think.
What? So he keeps saying over and over again that his only goal, he doesn't care about titles, he doesn't care.
Right.
He keeps saying that over and over again.
Right.
That's not important. The only thing that's important is protecting the North,
He'll
protecting
keep it
his
secret
family.
for the next 2 episodes, and that'll be the drama for the latter half of the season.
I think it changed. I think that might change once that enemy is gone.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, so again, not diving into detailed. We should talk again. The new intro
Title sequence, brand new, completely different from every other season.
Weird, right? Do you completely retool it for the final season? It's been entirely
by the way,
the same.
It was choppy when we first started watching it, but I liked it. The fact is, there are basically 2 environments in this episode. There's 2 locations.
It's King's Landing and Winterfell.
Yeah, so they gave us those 2, right? You can't go across the narrow sea anymore.
Well, they
There's
gave us the
nothing over
wall.
there. Yeah. There's a hole in the wall. You go through the wall. They briefly touched on Last Hearth, and then go a deep dive into Winterfell, a deep dive into King's Landing. What more do you need?
What I enjoyed about that initial sequence was it looks like they're tracking how far armies are marching.
Yeah.
And so it looked like it was like giving us how far the Northern Army or the Army of the Dead has reached. Then it comes to Winterfell, then it goes to. So if that keeps tracking forward, we'll get like an update. We kind of have an idea of what happens next episode. It looks like our prediction of episode 3 being that big battle looks like it's going to pan out.
Just based on the season next week, it looks like.
And then assuming they win that battle, I want to see how that title sequence changes. Is it going to be super different every episode? I think that could be really interesting.
It could be. It's hard to imagine how different it could be because, again, there are very few locations left for them to go to, right? They have to really go into more detail with the locations that they have in order to just
to finish the song.
Time, right?
To get all the titles in
exactly.
and then get the song all the way played through. It's funny because for season, I don't know what year, what season one, it might have been season 3, where they really started adding a lot of locations. Even season 2, they had to actually extend the original theme song.
Right.
They had to add bars into the actual song to accompany all those extra locations that they had to reach. Now it's the opposite problem where their song is too long and they have less locations they actually have to go to. But, whatever. Okay. Other big wide strokes. What else we got going?
Well, the big one for me is the reunions. Jon and Arya is the number one. They were each other's favorite siblings growing up. It's great to see them back together, having grown and having changed. Lived their very separate lives and gone through their own adventures, coming back together. They don't really touch on it. They don't really talk about what they've been through. They just recognize each other and hug, and it's nice. They've been through enough that they've earned that.
Sorry, I'm just checking the. John Rock sings that the new opening is pretty cool. It seems odd to change it now. I agree with him.
Yeah, 100%. It's weird because it's the only season that's different
from all the
others.
It really breaks the whole thing. Like it's literally the exact same all the way through, and then you're just gonna change it at the very end. I think that's odd. We also have Jason Telford here saying, "Was it Last Hearth where they ran into Ed?"
Yes,
it was Last Hearth.
So towards the end of the episode, that young kid that was burnt with that weird symbol. That's the same symbol in the very first
pilot
episode,
the season 1 pilot episode. Yeah,
the prologue scene. There's wildlings that are sort of arrayed in that same symbol.
You can also that scene where they do the flashback to the original White Walker,
right?
With the children of the forest. That is laid out in rocks on the ground.
Yeah, like sort of standing stones, and then again in the caves at Dragonstone, it's sort of carved into the wall.
Yeah. So again, it's the I guess
Nobody
the
knows
Night-
what it means.
It's the Night King's favorite symbol. Is really what it comes down to.
It essentially just means White Walkers. It means the enemy. Like,
Yeah.
we don't know what that actually symbolizes for them. But that was Last Hearth.
yes,
So
that
that
was
kid
Last
at
Hearth.
the beginning of the episode is the kid that pipes up and says that they're trying to get their people to Winterfell from Last Hearth, but they need more wagons, so they send a bunch.
So it's
of
weird that
wagons
they
up
weren't
there.
already moving. You know,
It's far away, man.
they're the last Hearth.
They're the closest castle to the wall.
I'll be honest. As soon as they said they need more horses to Last Hearth, I was like, oh man, they're fucked. It's honestly the first thing I thought of.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The other thing that's weird about this episode is how everybody automatically knows that the Army of the Dead broke through the wall and that they're on the march. You have to imagine nobody's sending any ravens.
So yeah, no one's. But again, you have Bran being the messenger
but
there,
then-
who knew at Winterfell, right?
Fair enough. And then taking aside the fact that, the way that Bran acts, he's not exactly believable. He's a lunatic to most people.
Right, but Sansa believes him,
Fair
and
enough.
Sansa's Lady of
Fair enough.
Winterfell.
They also know in King's Landing. That's what I thought was weird.
Uh,
Qyburn says
Yeah, how does
it's the same
Qyburn know? I guess spies.
thing. Okay, sure. Yeah.
That has to be the only answer.
Yeah.
So Qyburn knows because of spies.
Spies in the north that are sending ravens from Winterfell to King's Landing.
Right.
Without their knowledge.
So we have Marcos asking, maybe jumping the gun here, but it's all but confirmed that the big battle will be episode 3. Yeah, we were just talking about that. Absolutely. I think we talked about this even before the season started, but there's almost no chance that that's not the
Just
case.
given how fast the Army of the Dead is moving, also taking into consideration the scenes from next episode.
Yeah, so that we don't want to talk too much about the next time on preview because I think there's a lot of spoilers in there.
And I guess not everybody gets that the same way.
If you're not watching live, you won't get that. But
Either
yes,
way, safe
it will
prediction.
be episode 3.
Yeah.
And we predicted that early on, and there's just no chance that that's not the case. Okay, what else we got?
John riding Rhaegal, that is a huge moment. Much like with a lot of things in this season and the last season as well, it feels very rushed. It feels like it just happens.
Buzz by. He
yeah.
does a buzz at the tower, Top Gun
Right.
style.
So I mean, we all knew it was going to happen. That's the fact that it happened isn't a surprise. It's just how quickly and how sort of effortlessly.
I think if you consider the fact that the battle's episode 3, right, and if John's gonna be riding a dragon in that battle, which he may or may not.
kind of has to.
He probably
eventually,
will, right?
Like not right away, but he's going to have to take
Yeah.
it upon himself to do so.
So if he does that, you need to introduce that he's not going to ride a dragon into battle, never having ridden a dragon before.
Right.
So this is a great time to introduce it, and they play it pretty whimsically. I'd say he does like I said, buzz by Winterfell. Everyone gets to see him. I think that's very important.
Yeah, they see that dragon has a rider as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and that not just that it is
That's
John,
Jon, yeah.
right? And then they have the moment with Dany, and it's played for laughs. It's good. It's a nice scene.
Oh, the kissy scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really they cut to Drogon just looking at
Yeah,
them.
it's pretty funny.
The other thing that jumps out at me regarding that scene, very brief, but Dany saying that we could stay here forever is echoing Ygritte and Jon when they go into the caves and they have the hot pools and they say the same. She
Nice.
says the exact same thing to Jon. We could just stay here forever and forget about the external
Right.
everything else.
He said they'd be pretty old.
It's the same sentiment, but it's not really built up the same way. Their relationship is not built up the same way again because it has been rushed over the past couple seasons.
Let's see. I got also from. Okay, blah. I'm missing some stuff here. John Rock. Amazing that Yara didn't die.
Yeah,
Right?
she was my pick for the first death.
Yeah, we all picked that. I think we all agreed in our death pool. By the way, if you didn't tune into that death pool episode, no one died yet. So we will allow
one more
we
week.
will allow one more week. We're opening it up. You can still enter your death pool picks because no one died.
Nothing changed.
Sorry, we have a question from the live audience. No, okay, my apologies. All right, so
But that's a good point. We should touch on the Ironborn because they took a good 5 minutes to touch on them in this episode. It's becoming the new Dorne. It's going to be underplayed. It's going to be forgotten about. Theon's big, huge, triumphant moment last season was when he finally decided to take action and go and save Yara. The first episode this season rescues Yara and is immediately going back to Winterfell to just like reset his status quo. His character didn't really gain or sacrifice anything to do that. He just showed up. She's rescued. She decides that she wants to make the Iron Islands safe for Daenerys to come to.
Yeah.
Is that what I meant to believe out of
so
that?
it's as a okay. So I think it's weird because I think she's just saying that, like kind of to kind of ease Theon's kind of conscience a bit, because like she says, you want to go, right? And tells him to go. She doesn't care that much about what's going on with Dany. I don't.
Sure.
She cares enough, and she's already pledged her allegiance and all that kind of stuff. She's gonna go take back the Iron Islands as a fallback position. I don't know if they're gonna need it, so my prediction is they won't need it.
Yeah, no, I think it's very likely that Yara and the rest of the Ironborn are just not touched on again.
I disagree. I think they'll play a role, because Euron is going to come back, and then there's that story thread comes together there. So I also have another question here. Marco says, like, no one died unless you consider Little Umber. Yeah, you're right, but no one considered Little Umber. So
he wasn't on the list.
He wasn't on the list. In fact, I don't know if we even seen him on the show before. I don't even know if we have.
I think he was in season 7 briefly.
So also Jason Telford asking,
because John forgave both him and Alice Karstark because
right,
their forebears had obviously betrayed John.
The Boltons. So Jason Telford said, I was confused about the Yara rescue. Wasn't Euron on the same ship? Was it docked at King's Landing when they saved her? So yes, but we know where Euron was. He was in chambers with Cersei that evening. So he wasn't on that ship at that time, but that is his ship.
Yeah. Another thing that's weird about that is that there was a fleet of ships there, not just one. They were able to get onto the one ship, kill a couple of them. And to be fair, they're a mute crew, so they wouldn't be raising the alarm. But I don't know, in and out, just like that. It's just again.
Well,
it feels
no.
rushed.
So the mutes are the Golden Company people.
No. The mutes are Euron's crew.
Really?
His
okay,
ship is called the Silence, and all of his crew members are mute.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't realize that. Is that book knowledge? Or they say that in the show.
I think they may have mentioned it very in passing.
It's
on the show.
It's.
We have a question here from Rochelle.
Yeah. Okay, from the live audience. Live audience,
asking, do you think Theon will get in deep shit when he goes back to Winterfell? Doesn't everyone hate him? Yeah,
this has been touched on already though.
Everybody
He's already reconciled with Jon, right? In the last season.
Not with Sansa though.
He has not reconciled with Sansa
or Arya.
Yes. So the answer is yes and no, because he has Jon there to have his back and saying, I forgave him already. He's a changed man, yada, yada, yada.
And he's going to arrive next episode, so they still have the whole excuse that, there's a bigger problem. There's a larger enemy.
Yes.
Let's focus on that
I
first.
think there is. Thing is, with limited runtime, it's hard to say, hey, do we have time to have this intimate scene between Theon and Sansa and Theon and Arya, who weren't as directly impacted by those actions.
Well, Sansa directly was, but Arya not so much.
Yeah.
And he did save Sansa, so
yeah, that's actually true already. That he's reconciled with Sansa.
Yeah.
It's really only Arya. So the answer is yes and no, but mostly no, if that helps. Okay, what else we got?
Yeah, we touched on it earlier as a result of one of the questions, but Tormund and his crew, along with Beric Dondarrion, meeting with the remnants of the Night's Watch at Last Hearth.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if we're meant to understand that means all of the Night's Watch has already decided to leave Castle Black, or leave the Wall, rather.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They're the only people.
So remember, early in the episode, they sent a raven. Jon said, send a raven to Castle Black. There's no reason for them to man the wall anymore.
Yeah.
So, yes, that's happened. Presumably, he sent ravens to everyone else at every other castle. There's not many left, right? There's not a lot of Night's Watchmen left. But, they're all heading to Winterfell. Problem is, they're behind the army. So
yeah, they have to get around the army of the dead.
They have horses, so that helps,
I guess.
Also, next time on preview says that they get there. It's fine. It's a little it really undercuts that moment. We're saying can we reach it in time? Are we gonna be able to get there before the Night King does? I like that they reference they actually just talk. They just use him as a standard pronoun. The Night King, instead of saying the army of the dead or whatever. It's the Night King and his army and his dragon and all that kind of stuff. I think that's interesting. It really gives the character.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I do, because it gives the character more. The Night King character a little bit more personality, ownership over things. We already know that he won't speak in this season, because no matter what he says, it would undercut his character. It makes sense. We're only going to see him 2 more episodes. It's not going to be a big deal. We didn't even see him this episode.
Right.
Okay, hold on. I've got more stuff here. The Ember Kid. Yeah, but who cares? Exactly. Theon helped Sansa escape. Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely right. What did Arya ask Gendry to make her?
Yeah, it was really not clear actually.
That was Jason Telford. It looked like a dagger. That's my guess.
It looked like either a dagger or a spear.
It's very funny. It's like drawing like a stick figure sketch of a horse and saying, "Make me that." Make me a bicycle clown.
Yeah.
He's a very probably one of the best blacksmiths in
that are left, yeah.
that are left in King's Landing, and he's like she just gave him the most basic sketch.
Well, it was really hard to say though because I would have to rewatch the episode.
We're also watching on a small screen. Still,
I would have to rewatch the episode and even pause it at that moment because it looked like it was a bit more intricate than that.
What's her go-to weapon?
Well, it's needle,
dagger,
or her little
something small. When by the way, great moment when Arya and Jon meet or reconnect.
Yeah,
that's a lovely.
And they compare swords.
And they compare swords. Yeah, she's like, it's too heavy for me, right? When she's talking about Longclaw, I think she is asking him to make her a dagger. Is my guess.
Some sort of
She can do she can double wield the daggers. Dual wield.
No. Something along those lines is hard to say at this point.
So Marcus says it looked like some kind of spear.
Yeah, that's what I thought
too. But
it
broke into parts.
Yeah, there was like a head that was separate from the shaft of the spear. I don't know. That doesn't mean to me.
So maybe it's a spear, then she can like remove it, and then she has like two spears.
I don't know.
We'll see. I guess
we'll see. That's the other one we didn't actually mention though. The not only her reuniting with Gendry, but her reuniting with the Hound briefly. That was a cool scene.
Yeah, it was very short.
Very short.
It was very Hound-like. Yeah.
That's how they know each other. But
he got to swear at least once. So yeah,
that's what his character does.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Is there anything we're missing?
Well, Jamie arriving in Winterfell.
Yeah, that was kind of the last moment, and we saw the hooded character arriving. And I was like, oh, "Who's this?" And you thought it might have been Melisandre.
Yeah.
I think she'll appear later. It might be too soon for her to say, but we got another question from the audience.
Not a question. It's more of a, I guess, statement or maybe a note. It's more like she's
it's like a show notes
while we're in the middle of a show.
That's a lovely thing to do.
Don't forget about Bran and his contract. Bronn and his contract. Bronn. I think it autocorrected.
Oh, actually, you know what? That's one of the okay. Thank you, because that's actually really important, and because I think that's one of the biggest moments in this episode that has some of the most emotional weight. Is that moment where Bronn is doing his favorite thing, which is sleeping with prostitutes, and is then basically given a kill contract for the two people he's worked for in the past, both Jaime and Tyrion.
And specifically given the weapon that Tyrion used to kill Tywin.
Yeah. I talked about this early on in our preview.
Yeah.
Also, I think at the end of last season, and also in our maybe even, I don't remember exactly when I said these things, but maybe also in our death pool. But I think the rubber hits the road with Bronn, and I said this early on, the rubber hits the road with Bronn when he has to make a choice between the money he's making and the people he's worked for and the people he quote-unquote likes and is friends with. In this case, it's the two closest people in his life, Tyrion and Jaime. Less so Jaime. I thought Jaime always very much treated him like a sellsword. But Tyrion mostly, right?
I mean, the thing is, it was always about their ability to pay.
That's how he always said it. But remember, you also look back to last season in the Dragon Pit episode where they're bickering, whatever, the banter, and he's like, "Yeah, it's good to see you." And he's like, "It's good to see you too."
Sure.
I think he has a softer heart than he lets on. He has a very hard outer shell.
I think that's a contrivance of the show, but whatever. The fact is, with Daenerys and her army supporting Jon, Tyrion, and Jaime also being on that side, it might make more sense for him economically to be allied with them. I don't know that it's going to be based necessarily on his feelings for Tyrion.
Well, it's very interesting because, like, as a quote unquote, what would you say? He's like a pragmatist.
Sure.
He's aligned himself with Cersei and her whole Lannister thing
out of convenience.
Right? Out of convenience,
out of options.
Right. So he goes north at this point is going to see what's happened, right, or what is happening. He might come across the battle in mid battle. We don't, people can move very fast at this point, but presumably he's not going to be able to get there between this episode and next episode.
Yeah, nobody ever talks about how they get through Moat Kalen in the neck at all. They just get there.
They just get there. It doesn't. They don't.
It's great.
Not a big deal. We can deal with that in the full episode. But where you totally threw me off with that.
With Braun arriving at while
yeah, so I think it's like he's gonna have an opportunity. Like she says, like if they survive, kill him, right? He's gonna see what happens here. I think there will be a turn. If he does, that's a fucking major moment, and I think it kind of sucks. I hope it doesn't happen that way. I think from a storytelling perspective, it also kind of sucks, only because we know that we're pretty sure that Cersei should die at the hands of Jaime,
one of her younger brothers.
Or yeah, exactly. So, assuming that she does die and it's not all for naught, but I think Braun, and it looks like he has some. He's weighed by this a little bit.
He has his reservations for sure.
Yeah.
But it costs him nothing and could benefit him everything to just take the contract and see what happens, right? And that's the kind of person he is.
Mm-hmm. Oh, also, jumping back a little bit, so Jason Jeffers said maybe he's saying that maybe it's a spear, Arya's weapon, to take down Viserion.
Right.
Because she does know that they have the dragon. Marco's asking, Arya asked Jon how he survived a knife through the heart. Did I miss where she would have learned this?
You would have to assume that they had that conversation before Jon, because Jon and Dany and crew were on a ship to White Harbor, and then marching.
Well,
up.
Bran could have told her. Like,
Arya
a bunch
was
of
with
things.
Sansa and Bran at that point, so they just had a family breakfast.
They might have been like, "Hey, so here's everything that happened to Jon. He's been through a lot." So yeah, it really makes me think of that scene with Theon in the season finale where he talks about how Theon says, hey, you've made the right decisions, whatever, and Jon says, it's not always been as easy as it looks. It might look easy from the outside, but I've had to do a lot of terrible things and been a hard life. You look back through Jon and his life, and even the actor who plays Jon said, like, he was asked before the season started, what would you tell Jon if you could tell him anything at the beginning of the series? He said, don't join the Night's Watch would be the only advice he had to give him. His life would be very different, obviously, if he didn't.
Yeah.
But he went through a lot of he died. He literally died. He watched his favorite person die in front of him, then got killed. There's so many things you could talk about. But
it's been a journey for him, for sure.
Climbed the wall, literally by hand. It's a lot of crazy stuff. So anyway, I got off topic here. I don't even know what I was talking about. What was I talking about?
Nobody does. Yeah. Nobody's keeping track here anymore.
Okay. I think we should wrap it up. What else we got? Do we have anything else?
I mean, it did feel like a very abrupt, sort of like shorter episode. It technically was a shorter runtime in general.
Mm-hmm. Only slightly. To me, it didn't feel short. I didn't find that it felt short from a pacing perspective.
I can't tell what you're saying, Rochelle. You can just say it. Just say it real loud.
She said it earlier. She said that she felt like it was like 20 minutes long. Am I getting it right? Yeah.
She wanted me to say the word that she made up. And
yeah, we're not going to say it because it's made up. Yeah. Obviously, everyone has their favorite storylines that they want to follow, and that everything outside of that might feel like wasted time. But the fact of the matter is that all these characters are important. Even Sam and his reaction to his family's death, which
that's huge. That was like I think that might have been my favorite scene in this episode.
I disagree.
I know you do. That has huge ramifications.
I found okay. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Okay.
But so Sam has a very strong emotional reaction. When Sam tells Jon about how he felt about that, the look on I could be interpreting this wrong, but the look I had on Jon that I read on Jon's face was like, wait, I thought you didn't like your family.
He didn't like his father.
Right. He felt a little conflicted. Like whether it's like, listen, I understand that you're going through some pain, but there's some other things going on.
That's not even the point. The point is, what kind of person is Daenerys, and is Jon trusting them to follow? If that's the type of person she is, which she has demonstrated time and time again, she's more a conqueror. She's better at saying Dracarys than taking care of the people who are following her.
Well, we learned that
Right.
With
So that's going to set up the drama in the latter half of the season, like we mentioned before. After the war is done, who do they choose to lead them? And it's going to be between Jon and Daenerys, right? Obviously, nobody wants Cersei. The fact of the matter is, Jon is the rightful king.
Because I think that's an interesting kind of thing that we didn't really that I didn't see coming. Is this idea that there will be a moment where the people get to choose between Jon or Dany, and
not all the people, but the people that matter.
Yeah, the people that matter, and then not even just the people that, but like the northern people, right? Who at this point are really the most important people, only by sheer happenstance. But that everyone keeps talking about the northerners this, the northerners that. If we find out that Jon is supposed to be the rightful heir anyway, and that can help them gain the backing that they need, that could be another kind of twist that I certainly didn't see coming. I didn't see it to play out that way. I still kind of expect that revelation to remain a secret or to be kept between the two of them and not to be revealed to a wider audience. No one else knows between Jon, Sam, and Bran, and presumably Dany next episode. Maybe.
Who knows? Yeah.
It'll probably remain a pretty small circle that knows that. That information is only important when it needs to be, I think, especially to Jon. Like we talked about before.
Sure.
So
until the war, actual war for the Dawn is over.
Okay, sorry, Jason Telford. John saw Ned. He said he would tell him about his mother. Pretty cool. He found out in front of his tomb and statue.
God damn, that's a good point.
Yeah,
I like that.
It's some poetic justice.
Yeah.
Justice. If I can, justice.
The next time they see each other and Jon learns about his mother, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I think he's been to the crypt before that moment.
Yes, come on. Relax.
But yeah, I agree with you. It is a good moment. Okay. Do we have anything else? Is there anything else that we haven't touched on?
Well, I mean, if there is, we'll get to it tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously, we're doing a full
very
episode.
Just reactionary episode, just off the cuff.
We probably went longer than we should have.
Yeah, who knows?
Well, even should have, could have. It's whatever. We get to make this up. This is all our own thing. So, again, thank you to everyone who has subscribed. We did have a question earlier from from Marcos, saying that he's asking, okay, does he have to resubscribe next month? No. That if you subscribe on Patreon, it will automatically carry over month to month.
Yeah.
So again, good question. Okay. Thank you everyone to ask questions. I hope more people show up next month, next week, to join the live chat. I love having a live chat.
We get it working.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I think a part of it might be our internet connection, which is not less than great here. Like I said, we're doing a big move to a new studio. That should bring with it a better internet connection. So that should help. What else? Follow us on Twitter at TowerBabblecast. I'm sure they already do. Facebook.com/TowerBabblecast.
No, this is the Patreon. You don't have to do that.
Right. By the way, for questions next week, priority will be given for this week and every week for these previews or breakdowns. Priority will be given to Patreon subscribers. So email us towerbabblepodcast@gmail.com for your longer-winded questions that might not have been answered in this episode, and we'll definitely talk about them in the full episode. Like again, we're recording tomorrow, posting Tuesdays. That same schedule will remain. Okay. Again, thank you to everyone, and we'll be back next week.
In like 2 days.
Well, we'll be back in 2 days. You know what I mean.
I guess we're still alive.
Yeah, technically we're still live for the next couple seconds.
What'd you think?